Hi, welcome to Springboard Family Workshop number 5. Today is our 5th and final workshop. My name is Miss Cullivan and I am a second grade teacher at Cobbett Elementary School. I am also the program leader for the Springboard tutoring program here at Cobbett. If you have any questions about the Springboard tutoring program at Cobbett or about this video, please feel free to call me at 781-484-9988. Workshop number 5 is called I Have Another Question. Now remember that your child has been working for many weeks on their reading goal. We've been working with them after school in tutoring, and you've been working with them at home. And hopefully you're starting to see some progress. We, the tutors, are seeing progress with your children in our after school program, so we hope you're seeing it as well at home. So today we're going to talk about open-ended questions. First, though, we need to define what we mean when we say an open-ended question. An easy way to think of them is that they are really the opposite of a yes or no question. And they lead you to a conversation. Notice the difference between the two questions that are on this screen. When you say to a child, "Did you have fun at school today?" and they will respond, "Yes." But when you ask them, "What did you do at school today?" they might say, "Oh, we played with our class pet Ruby and counted to 100 really fast at the end of the day." So you can see that the second question encouraged the child to speak more. It gives you more information that can lead you to follow-up conversations. The second question is open-ended. Now you can ask more questions about the class pet and counting to keep your child talking and learning more from each other. All right, so we're going to go over some simple ways, some simple open-ended questions that will help you have a discussion with your child about reading. So this strategy of using open-ended questions have 3 parts to it. The first is for the reader to think about their predictions. So good readers do this naturally. They pick up a book, they look at it, they read the title, and they're already thinking about what the story is going to be about, or maybe what's going to happen. The second part is retelling what actually did happen when you read the story. And the third part would be to connect to what you know. Making predictions before you read is something that some readers do very naturally, but other children need to be explicitly taught. They need to be told and practiced with on how to make predictions and practice thinking about what they think will happen in the story. Now, predictions can happen at the beginning of the story, but they can also happen right in the middle of the story. So if you think about if you're even when you're watching a movie sometimes and something's happening and or you're reading a book and a young girl meets a young boy and there's a spark, then you immediately are thinking, oh, they're going to fall in love, right? That's a prediction, right? And then, a turn of events occurs and then you think, uh-oh, this is a bad guy. Something bad's going to happen now. That's a prediction. Sometimes children do things like that very naturally, and other times they need to practice that. So predictions can happen before they read the book and also while they're reading the book. And sometimes as you're reading, you think something's going to happen, and as you start to read the words, you realize, oh no, that's not what's going to happen, and you can change your predictions right in the middle of while you're reading. All right. Retelling what happened after you read the story is a very important skill. If you're able to retell what you've read once you've read it, then that means there's been good comprehension and you understand what you read. My daughter, when she was learning how to read, did not do well with comprehension. And often when I would ask her after what was the story about, she would say, and she really didn't remember. She didn't have good comprehension. So she had to learn that and practice that. And the third piece is connecting to what you know. So if you've really comprehended and you understand the story, then you're able to make a connection to things that you already know in your life. So if you're reading about lions, you might connect that to information you know about lions. Or if you're reading a story, you might connect that to another story you've read, or a movie you've seen, or something that's happened in your life, or something that's happening in the real world. It might remind you of something. So having that ability to make those connections is very important. And once again, children don't always think to make connections on their own. So they need to be taught that, and they need to practice that, so that then it becomes natural and something they do when they read all the time. These are some videos for you to take a look at on your free time. I hope you enjoy them. So if your child is having trouble retelling the story, so you've read the book with them and then you want to ask them, what happened at the beginning of the story? And they start to tell you a little bit, then you can say things like, okay, tell me more. Well, what else happened? Why did that happen? How did that happen? Tell me about the middle of the story. What else happened? Why? Why is such a great question to ask your readers, because that they can take a little bit of their own thought and put it into what they're reading. How? How did that happen? And what happened at the end? Tell me more. So if they are unable to just retell the whole story to you, do it in little chunks. Ask them about the beginning, then ask them about the middle, and then finally ask them about the end. That's a little bit of a way to break it down for them to focus, and it makes it a little bit easier for them to retell the story. And the more you do that with them and the more you practice, they will get better at it, and eventually they'll be able to tell you the whole story on their own without those prompts. Now, making those connections that I talked to you a little bit about it, asking them what their favorite part of their story was, and then why was it their favorite part? What did the story remind you of? So they might read a story about a little boy and a grandma, and then maybe they'll tell you, that reminds me of my Nana. And right? Well, what was the same about the grandma in the story and your Nana? How are they different? Right? If you're reading a nonfiction book, a real book about something that you're learning about, cows, lions, Africa, you can ask them, well, what do you already know about lions? And what did you see that in the story? What does that connect to what you read in the book? So they might say, well, I know that lions are meat eaters. And then maybe there's a part in the book that talks about the lions and how they're hunting for the food. Making connections is very important, and using those open-ended questions to help them make the connections, but leaving them wide open. How is that the same? How is that different? That gives them an opportunity for you and to have the conversation. Okay, you might need to model it too for them. So if you ask them, what does the story remind you of, and they're unable to make a connection, maybe you make the connection. You show them how you connected that, and the next time they can try. All right. Sometimes they need to see it before they can do it by themselves. All right. It is our fifth and final workshop, and our last secret code is I love ice cream. So when you're finished watching this video, please text me the secret code or with your child's name, or text to your children's tutor your child's name and the secret code so that you can get credit for watching and participating in this workshop. Remember that your children are going to earn points, and this is the end of our series of workshops, and we are coming to the end of our tutoring session, and your children need 1,200 points to get prizes, and they need 1,000 to get the first batch of prizes. They need 1,600 if they want to get the top level of prizes. So these points count, and you took the time out to watch the video. You want to make sure they get the points and the credit for what you did for them. Just remember that, please. Okay, so just to summarize what our reading strategy was, is to think about those predictions and ask those open-ended questions to keep them talking about what they think is going to happen. Retelling what happened after they've read the story or after you've read a story to them. And again, asking those open-ended questions to encourage them to continue talking and trying to avoid the yes and no questions. And finally, making a connection to something you already know. That could be something, a person, another book you've read, something that's in your life, something that's in the world, or another book or a movie that they've read. All right. Just like all the other workshops, here are some more questions for you. Feel free to take a screenshot of this page or pause the video and you can write these questions down to help you when you're working with your child. And we have these 4 areas and we have addressed them all in these family workshops. We worked on breaking the words up into smaller chunks to figure out the word that address the accuracy skill. We have worked on scooping and phrases to help with our fluency. We have talked about making connections and asking questions and using questions to help us understand the story better. And hopefully your child has improved in their accuracy. They've improved with their fluency and their comprehension. And because of all that, they are able to enjoy and engage more in their reading. We really hope that you've seen the growth and the changes that we've seen in your children. A to Z will still be available for you for the rest of the year. So please continue to use this even after tutoring is over. It's a great resource for you to use over the summer if kids have access to lots of books for them to read. And don't forget to log those points. Keep those kids reading, and if they are not at 1,200 points yet, get them on there every day and get them reading some more so that they can earn the points to win their prizes. Here's a few ways for us to connect. And finally, I just want to thank you. I hope you have enjoyed these 5 workshops. If you watched them all, I hope you enjoyed them. And once again, please feel free to contact me or your child's tutor if you have any questions or concerns. Thank you.